This is the anti-nuclear protest by Lachlan and Connor. The anti-nuclear protests in the USA began as a small opposition to Operation Crossroads, which tested 2 nuclear weapons in 1946. However, larger-scale protests began after the 1954 Lucky Dragon incident, in which a Japanese fishing boat holding 23 men was contaminated by the nuclear fallout of the Castle Bravo test in Bikini Atoll. In August 1955, the first meeting of the World Conference Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs, which held over 3,000 participants from Japan and various other countries. These talks sparked many more protests around the world against the use of these bombs, especially during the Cold War. The image above shows the Lucky Dragon incident off the coast of Bikini Atoll, which inspired SpongeBob.
Citizens wanted to lessen the chance that a nuclear war would break out. Many also wanted to make sure that the groups in charge of creating the nuclear weapons did not have the backing to continue research. Many activists were university students who not only held anti-nuclear weapons ideology, but pacifist ideology. This was the island that the United States tested their nuclear weapons on.
The images above show the aftermath of both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs after they were dropped on Japan in 1945. Many were involved in these protests, however the two main groups were citizens of Japan as well as citizens of the United States. This is because people of Japan had experienced the devastating effects of the atom bomb firsthand, as it has been dropped on both locations above.
Protests began very small scale in the U.S. during the 1940s. The first large-scale protests began because of 25 workers who were contaminated with radiation poisoning. The Women's Strike for Peace marched across 60 different cities across the USA to demonstrate their distaste for the nuclear arms race. This ended up being the largest national women's peace protest in the 20th century. The group was initially intended to ban nuclear testing, but later shifted towards protesting against the use of nuclear weapons. Over 1 million people demonstrated in New York City against the development and use of nuclear weapons. Thousands of workers gathered on Lenin Square in the Soviet Union to protest the fact that their needs were being neglected due to the nuclear arms race.
Along with the protests about the negative effects of these weapons on humans, many people began to protest the negative effects on the environment, leading to many formations of green parties within the government. Only by the 1980s did the U.S. government bring about changes in response to the protests. First, funding was cut for the development of alternative energy sources, production of plutonium for nuclear weapons, and expansion of nuclear research and military development in Western Europe. Along with the funding cuts, Japan and Europe pressured the U.S. into nuclear disarmament. In the end, the anti-nuclear movement influenced arms control agreements between Mikhail Gorbachev and President Bush, and positively to the nuclear disarmament and avoidance of nuclear war.
The government responded ethically due to the fact that many high-ranking government officials backed the concerns demonstrated by protesters about the moral and ethical ramifications of using nuclear weaponry. Also, the increased public awareness brought about by the protests forced the government to react in a way which the masses of people. The goal of the U.S. government was that if they showed that they were backing off the development of nuclear weapons, other major countries may follow suit and help bring the world closer to peace.
Because this issue was protested, it allowed for the people to voice their opinion, which shows that the people were involved with the decision-making to slow the development of nuclear weapons. It allowed for all citizens to share their opinion because of the fact that they share the freedom to express themselves.